sir, and second CS Usha Ganpati Subramaniam ma'am. Today's CEP is divided into two parts. First part on artificial intelligence, a game changer for accounting and auditing professional, which will be taken by CS Usha Ganpati Subramaniam ma'am, and second part on artificial intelligence, emerging regulatory framework, which will be taken by CMA Sekhar sir. Now I am briefly introducing both speakers. CMA CS Sekhar sir is in a whole-time practice as a company secretary since 1996. Prior to commencing practice, he has industry experience spanning 15 years. He specializes in field of corporate law, foreign exchange management, SEBI and securities law, merger and acquisition, cost and management accounting, due diligence, transfer pricing, business valuation, and corporate sustainability. He also advised organization to SME sector on strategic management issue, including transition and succession management, capital financing and structuring, IPO and compliance management. Currently, he is also advising listed entity on implementation of system and procedure for ESG and sustainability reporting. He contributes and participates actively in various academic, professional and research initiatives in ICSI. He has also contributed with a few articles in Chartered Secretary, Management Accountant, Chartered Accountant and other professional journal on contemporary topic including ESG and sustainability. He was a member of task force constituted by Register Valuer Organization for development of content for valuation, courseware for Register Valuer. He has contributed his input as a member of task force for Institute of Cost Accounts of India for giving recommendation relating to Companies Act 2013. He has been co-opted as a member of Corporate Law Committee of Institute of Cost Accounts of India. He was a member of this committee in 1920 and 21-22. He is a visiting guest faculty at Indian Institute of Banking and Finance at the Regional Training Institute of Office of CAT. He is a member of ESG and Sustainability Board constituted by Institute of Company Secretary of India. He was a member of Sustainability Standard Board constituted by Institute of Cost Accounts of India. He is a registered insolvency professional since 2018 and specializes mainly in voluntary liquidations under insolvency and bankruptcy. Recently, he has co-authorized a taxman publication in October 2023. I request all participants, please turn off your mic. Secondly, today we have CS Usha Ganpati Subramaniam. She is a company secretary in whole-time practice for past 5 years. She has previously working with Sundaram Hydraulics Limited, a TVS Group company, as a company secretary for over 2 years, where she handled accounting responsibility as well. She teaches corporate and securities law subject for company secretary course at Southern Regional Office of ICSI and law subjects and strategic management for CA inter and final student. She has authored and co-authored articles which have been published in professional journal, including Chartered Secretary, Management Accountant, Chartered Accountant, and Taxman Journal, and in newspaper also. The book Handbook on Secretarial Audit, co-authored by along with CMA Sekhar sir and Dr. Ranjit Krishnan, has been published by Taxman Publication. She has also been a contributor to the professional handbook to ChatGPT, authorized by CA V. Patabi Ram and CA DC Jain sir. She has edited several newsletters, case studies, fictions and non-fiction books. She was a part of newsletter, IT and Student Committee of the ICSI SIRC and Deputy Conveyor of Chennai West Study Circle for 2023. In academic front, she has done her Bachelor in Commerce from University of Madras, Associate Member of Institute of Company Secretary of India, CFA from Institute of Chartered Finance Analysis of India, and also hold diploma in management accounting from ICMAI London. She scored all India rank in foundation and final level of company secretary examination and stood second in BCom and secured global 6th rank in paper of ICMAI diploma. So now I request Usha Subramaniam ma'am, please take a charge of CEP.
Thank you very much, sir. I would request Shekhar sir to give the opening remarks, then I would continue with my presentation.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
Shekhar sir, over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. On the day which is we have one more day in this financial year. At the outset, I would like to wish everyone a very happy new financial year with full of prosperity and with artificial as well as natural intelligence. This subject is something where I don't think neither me nor Usha can claim expertise, but we are in a position to share some knowledge that we have got arising out of our efforts to understand more and more about this AI, which is going to be the order of the day for us. So I would just like to open up by saying, in fact, if you happen to read the recent news on AI, international holding company in Abu Dhabi, an industrial conglomerate, has created a new post on its board of directors called Artificial Intelligence Observer. Now, this virtual entity was developed by G42, the holding company's fastest growing AI firm, and it is given the name Aiden Insight. So the purpose is to use continuously the abilities to continuously process and instantly analyze decades of business data, financial information, market trends, and global economic data. So you can see from this that the AI is going to have impact in the boardroom procedures as well. So now, if that be the case, then the functions in an organization like accounting, auditing, governance, compliance, everything will have to use AI. And today, Usha will be I don't want to eat into Usha's time because she's going to share something where CMAs and other accounting professionals are how they can leverage AI. That is what is the challenge before us. And emerging regulatory framework I will be covering. So with these words, I hand over to Usha to take up the presentation. We will have a question answer session at the end of my presentation, which we will jointly take up. Over to you, Usha.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good evening once again, everyone. And I thank from the bottom of my heart for this wonderful opportunity given by ICMAI Institute, Pimpri Chinchwad and Authority chapter. And although I'm a company secretary by profession, I have had the good fortune of handling accounting and using various softwares and delving a little bit deeper into the capabilities of AI. And with that, I would like to share whatever knowledge we have gained so far with all of us, so that and towards the end, I'm hoping to have a very good interaction with all of you, so that we can learn mutually from each other. And now let me share my presentation with you. Just a moment. Now, in this session, we'll be taking a look at various general aspects of how we have seen the technology evolve in the accounting environment. and in the auditing environment. Then we will look at what is AI and what are the various important features of AI, the risks of AI, and then we will slowly move into the deeper aspects of how can AI be used in financial accounting, auditing, and other related areas. And I have been noting that the CMA Institute has been very proactive in enabling its members to actively take up delving into technology deeper, leveraging technology in a better manner by conducting various programs like certification programs also, and seminars and webinars like this. And I'm very happy to see that, because it is very much needed in today's age. So when we looked at how technology has been used in the areas of accounting, I hope my presentation is visible, sir. Am I audible?
To me, it is
Yes,
visible
yes,
to me.
ma'am.
All right. Suddenly some message came here. So when we looked at how technology has been evolving in the arena of accounting, earlier we were just using paper-based accounting systems, and compared to that, and making entries was very much arduous. We had to, my father used to say that they had to put various entries manually, and then they had to balance the various ledgers manually, and in a banking system that is even more complicated, and it is very much time consuming. Then came the simpler accounting systems in the early 90s and early 80s. Simpler accounting systems based on the earlier programming languages like COBOL, and then came suites like Lotus 123. All these things came, and then they started using it in a smaller manner, in a decentralized manner. Each branch used to have a separate software installed, and people had to learn some basics of the coding, which was a little bit of coding was still required. And the systems were largely decentralized, meaning that they were not interconnected with each other. And every quarter end or the year end, they had to take printouts and send it to the head office for consolidation purposes. So that was also time consuming, but it had enabled things, that is calculations and all became better and easier since the operations were all handled by the system. Then came a major business process reengineering, a leap, giant leap in terms of how information and data is processed when we started using ERP. And especially powerful ERPs like SAP and other bigger ones, they have made the lives of larger entities very easier, and in a more streamlined manner they are now able to operate, mainly because of the advent of ERP. And ERP is mainly modular, with various modules being enabled. For example, for finance and accounting, we have a separate module. Then we have for material management separate module. Then for other areas like sales, we have separate modules. HR, we have separate modules. So when it is modular, the enterprises can pick and choose which modules they want, and how they want to integrate it into their organization. And the best advantage of having an ERP was that it became easier to implement internal controls. The more detailed the ERP, the better the internal controls that could be embedded inside the ERP. So then now we are in the fourth stage. We are the cusp of a big transition which is happening with AI. And AI is not a single tool. It is often used in combination with, when it comes to other applications. Apart from generative AI, we'll be seeing all these terminologies a little bit as we move inside the PPT. But AI is now used with big data and other technologies like blockchain, IoT, RFID, and we use data analysis. And now it has enabled various a very higher level of processing of data and understanding of the patterns that emerge out of data. Now, what is big data? It is the ability to process very large volumes of information, not just in a structured manner, but also it can process and look into unstructured data as well. And unstructured in a sense, it could be in any form. It could be in the form of natural language processing. It may not be in the form of commands or database. and it can pull data from various things, like even from Facebook, from the backend, they can pull data from various other data generators. They can pull data and organize it in the form of a clean database for big data applications to use. And then we have IoT and RFID, which will be very, very useful for especially RFID has various applications in inventory management. RFID is what we use in the FASTag. In our cars, we use FASTag for the toll plaza payments. No, that RFID, that technology, when we use those RFID stickers with inventories, the several companies may have already started using it. When we do that, it becomes a better it enables better management of inventories than the present barcoding system. Barcoding, we have to have handheld scanners, whereas RFID can scan from almost from 500 meters or so. It can detect objects which are embedded with the RFID sticker. So with that, they will be able to see whether all the stocks are there, whether we can take the count easily, we can know whether something was tampered with or not. And Internet of Things, many of us are already familiar. Now everything is embedded with Wi-Fi. I'm able to connect to the light or the fan or the AC with my internet with my phone only. They are all connected to Wi-Fi. So Internet of Things is becoming a major enabler of the next stage of technology. And with all these things, the job of an accountant is not just made easier. There is also a threat that whether AI will eventually start replacing people. But the thing is, we have to start thinking how we will be able to leverage AI for our own purposes. So with that thought, let us move into what is AI. What is AI? AI is mimicking the human thought process, mimicking the human thought process for any decision making or any processing of data. And they have this is different from normal software or automation. It is not mere automation. Automation is where we hard code things, where we give certain inputs and tell the system how to generate outputs based on the input. Whereas AI is almost like a self-learning algorithm. We tell it how to learn things. How to learn things. It could be in a limited context or it could be in a general context. We tell the programmers, I mean, not us, but the programmers, they tell the system how to learn things. So when we teach someone how to learn, rather than we give them things to know, it becomes a very, very flexible environment where it can learn by itself, it can adapt to changes, it can produce different results using different inputs or stimuli. And this almost mimics the human thought process when it comes to processing of data and understanding of things. So the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems, refers to artificial intelligence. And there are various, now AI has become quite ubiquitous. There is nobody who I think is spared from the touch of AI. Wherever we go, we have applications which use AI now. Even for even Google Chrome throws results first. The first thing that comes is an AI generated result. If we go to Amazon, when we use it, when we look at the user reviews, the first paragraph that comes there is an understanding of the various user recommendations by AI. It gives a summarized version of what the users feel regarding the various aspects. It just gives two to three lines, which makes understanding of how the users perceive a particular product much more easier and quicker to understand. So there are various things, and we have natural language processing. For example, Siri or Alexa, they use natural language processing, and even ChatGPT understands natural language. We can just talk in a normal language with ChatGPT, interact with ChatGPT, and get the various results. We don't have to code. So natural language it understands. And generative AI is like where it is able to generate contents, where it is able to generate various text contents, text-based contents, or it could be images like this. All the images which I'm showing you here in my presentation have been generated by AI. There are free softwares as well, like ChatGPT 3.5, or you could use Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. We can use. There are several softwares that are available online. We just need to give a description and it generates the image. And there are autonomous vehicles. The use of AI in driving and in the automotive industry is immense. They use AI for various components of a self-driven vehicle. This includes advanced cruise control systems, advanced braking systems, the transmission controls. All of these components use AI in the background. And there are several other uses that we will see as we go through the presentation. Now we'll talk about what are the various types of AI. Is AI a single thing? No, there are different types of AI. Firstly, we'll see based on the capabilities, the extent or the width of capabilities it has. Narrow AI versus general AI. Narrow AI is modeled for specific tasks. It is focused on specific tasks, and it will operate in a certain particular environment only. For example, self-driven cars. It can't do everything. Although, for example, Siri, I have given here, although it can talk about several things, it cannot do everything. So there are experts now who bring even ChatGPT under narrow AI. Although it can perform several tasks, it has several limitations when it comes to processing of data. So still it could be classified under narrow AI. It focuses on specific tasks, specific capabilities like content generation or driving a car, or like I read in a newspaper there is a pizza or a fast food chain which uses AI to monitor the emotional no, the state of emotions of a particular person and then give recommendations based on that. So we don't know how much legal that is. That seems to touch upon the privacy of a person, but still that is an example of a narrow AI because it can't do anything apart from that. So what is general AI? It has a broad range of capabilities, can learn and adapt and do everything that a human being can perhaps attempt and do. And so that is general AI. We are moving towards general AI. ChatGPT is somewhere in the middle of narrow AI and general AI, we can say. And super AI is people are working on it. It could outperform human intelligence. We are still not having things that we can say that they go beyond human intelligence or acquire sentience. That we cannot say yet. So super AI is still in development. General AI, we are almost having it now. Narrow AI has always been there for at least for the last 5 to 10 years. Based on functionality, reactive machines react based on input. They are not storing any data. They have a set of instructions. They react to users' inputs, like they have given the example of IBM's Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a chess playing software, which has beaten several chess grandmasters also. So it operates only in a specific environment, just like narrow AI. It is a narrow AI and it is reactive. It does not have it does not think beyond the set of instructions which is given to it, but still it is reactive. Unlike a normal software, a non-AI based software, it is reactive. And limited memory AI is also there, where we have generative AI like ChatGPT, chatbots, autonomous vehicles. These are fed with data. For example, ChatGPT gives us answers based on the data which has been fed to it. The training data which has been fed to it till April 2023. That is what forms the base of the information set for ChatGPT. So that is a limited memory. Based on that only, it cannot access and then give the results. Although there is a module which can access the net, for the normal questions that we ask, it does not access net and give the answers. So it is operating based on the already fed data. Theory of mind is where an AI could perhaps give answers based on emotional quotient also, an emotional understanding, and based on emotive thinking. based on that also it perhaps be able to give us solutions. Self-aware AI, what we see in the movies, like self-aware beings are there and it tries to control the human beings. We don't know whether such things could happen, but Elon Musk is saying that such things could happen. We don't know. There are people who are in support of further AI development, people who are not in support of further AI development, but we'll just have to wait and watch. Now comes the main thing, which is of utmost importance to accounting and auditing professionals, including cost auditors. What is explainable AI and black box AI? Explainable AI is where we are able to understand the algorithm, the program logic, which is there behind the AI, and we can predict and we can explain the outputs. Let's say we feed in large quantities of accounting data. Let us say we are connecting AI with ERP, and it is saying that these are the analysis. It throws out some ratios. It says that your business is doing well, your raw material cost is too much, or your labor cost is becoming too high for you to manage, or something like that. It throws out some caution or warning or something like that. We should be able to, we cannot just present it to the management saying that this is what the AI says, so we have to follow. First, we have to understand how the AI software understood that particular data, how it processed that data, and how it through that particular it can also do predictive modeling. So sometimes it will project the data into the future and then tell us that your raw material cost may go up, so be careful, something like that. I'm just putting it in very, very simplistic terms. And when that happens, we have to be able to substantiate how the AI through the particular warning to us. And we have to be able to say, this is how the AI thought it processed the information, and so this seems to be a reasonable conclusion based on the facts which were fed to the AI tool. So that is an explainable AI. This is possible with most of the simple, very narrow, very narrow AIs. It is possible, like simple chatbots. They can be explained. The thought process behind it can be easily explained when it comes to simple chatbots. But when it comes to the more complex, more human-like thought process, the human-like thought process, the more difficult it is to explain how the results were arrived at. So that is why ChatGPT's functioning is not always predictable. Each time it generates a new output. For the same question, we can all even try this. For the same question, at the same time, four people are asking the same question, copy paste the same question to it, it will give different answers. And at least that is okay. The content will almost be the same. But let us say, for example, we are trying to generate an image from, let's say, Copilot or the ChatGPT's DALI. DALI is the software which comes with a paid subscription of ChatGPT 4. So when we use those sort of tools for, let us say, for example, image generation, too many things go wrong. Many things go right. So we are absolutely unable to predict how the images will come. I'll be able to show you some images where there are problems also. As we go through, I'll show you the images. So the problem is not with the images. They could be trivial. But what if the same thing happens in a much more serious application like integrating AI with ERP? In a much more serious tool like the government is using AI for tracking, let's say, frauds, or let's say SEBI is using it for tracking market manipulation. What if it throws, let's say, inconsistent results? So explainability of AI, the thought process by which the results are arrived at, how it processes the information, how it learns, that also has to be able to be explained. And this is an internationally talked about concern because the regulators want the AI developers to take into account this. But there is a problem with making AI explainable also. Like I said, by its nature, simpler tools are explainable, but by their very nature, the more complicated the AI is, it is not explainable. The more difficult it is to explain the results. So that is called as black box AI. Black box is somewhere where we don't understand. Something goes in, something comes out, that we are able to see input and output are visible, but what happens inside the processing, that we are not able to understand. So that's a black box AI. So most AI today we are having is almost we can say black box AI. Smaller AIs which are very, very specific or operating in narrow environments, that we can say it usually is explainable. Now we come to the capabilities of AI. This is again an AI generated picture. It looks nice, very colorful, and it seems to connect several things. We can give as detailed descriptions of things which we want. We can, let us say we want to have the image of a mountain with waterfalls with so many flowers, and there is a lighthouse at the top of the mountain. Whatever we want to give, we can give the instructions that we be able to understand and render the images. We can give simpler instructions also and leave everything to AI's capabilities. But in both the circumstances, there are various inconsistencies. If we look at this, some of the pictures are really intelligible. We can see there is a system, we can see there is some building sort of thing, but what happens in the basement, we don't know. There is a shopping cart. Obviously, we are using AI in the shopping domains. And there is something that looks like a cup. I don't know if it's a cup, but there are several things that don't make sense. There is a blob which probably indicates AI's application in pharmaceutical sciences, but we don't know what it is. So, if in a and this is not just the only image which I asked it to render. This is after 4-5 iterations, but still I'm saying it is still useful, but we have to be very, very careful when we use it. After like 5, 7, 10 iterations, it will give a good picture. One of the pictures we have to take. But if I feed the same image in and ask it to edit, it lacks the capability to do that. There could be other softwares that I'm talking about DALI, which comes with ChatGPT, and about Copilot. But there could be other AI using image rendering softwares which will be able to edit images which they have already generated. So this is just to tell you how the AI does a random walk. It throws a completely unexpected results. Now coming to the capabilities and benefits of AI, it is actually very, very capable. Even when we start interacting with ChatGPT in a deeper manner, it is capable of understanding human emotions. It may not be able to emote, it does not have emotions, but it is programmed in such a way that it has a complete empathy towards human beings and towards human suffering. So it is extremely capable. The content it can generate, we will be able to talk about anything with a generative AI like ChatGPT. It can go through data. When we come to the other slides, I'll also be able to show you some ways how we can look at using AI, that is ChatGPT. And it is efficient, extremely efficient. Let us say I'm asking it to draft a resolution, for example. It will draft in nanoseconds. And let us say I'm asking it to, I'm feeding it some data. Let us say I'm feeding it some financial results from money control website, putting it there and asking it to derive some ratios out of it. It will be able to do it in a matter of seconds. And let us say we want to draft a cost audit report, and perhaps we give the basics of what we want to say, it will be able to do that. And let us say we want to understand better about some concept. Let us say we want to understand about activity-based costing. It will be able to do that. It will give us very nice explanation of everything. We can ask it questions. We can ask it. It may, the questions that we have may look silly for us, but it will answer everything beautifully and with such respect to the reader that we will feel that, okay, this is a valid question that we have. It becomes a very good friend and an assistant to any person who starts using it. I'm not just talking about generative AI, I'm talking about all the which have come up with now. They have the ability to interact in a very good manner with people, especially ChatGPT has been designed like that it provides some sort of comfort to the person also who's sitting on the other end and trying to understand things. And several AI having now um, integrated with the other software that we are using, so we can automate it. We can ask generative AI to generate codes for us that would automate things also. I have seen in the online groups that the people are using AI to generate the um, custom programming which is necessary for using SAP in the background for custom reports. For that also it is able to generate this thing, and I have tested myself whether it is able to do coding in the basic level with the VBA programming or with Python also it works. It works for MATLAB, Simulink, so many uh, languages it knows, so many technologies it knows. So it becomes a one-stop shop for all of us to ask our questions and doubts from it. It is almost like the next Google. And when it is combined with other software, the ability for it to process data, it becomes multifold. It is very much augmented when we connect it with the other tools. And it is capable of giving very precise results and very precise analysis. The only thing we have to be careful about is we have to use our judgment to see whether the results are consistent with what the human understanding tells us. We should be open to the idea that there could be errors, but once we are convinced about the program logic, we should be able to trust the AI tool. And whether I'm using AI tool, I'm using it every day for something or the other. For example, let us say I'm in a hurry. I want to understand some government notification. I'll just copy paste that particular notification, the text of the notification in ChatGPT, and ask it to summarize in about 50 to 100 words what it is. And it does so, and it becomes very easier for us to look at the major points that way and learn and implement things in a quicker manner. So for various things we can use for drafting and everything, we will slowly look at the various risks that come with it also. Now, like I told you, AI is often not used in isolation. It is often combined with the data from by using big data or RFID, and with ERP solutions. When it is used, like I said, phenomenal results could be achieved, and it can mainly find abnormalities. It can work with 100% of the data. It looks at 100% of the data, whereas a human mind cannot perceive. Let us say we have lakhs of rows of data in an Excel sheet. The human mind cannot just look at it and find out the patterns from it. But AI will be able to quite easily do it by looking at 100% of the data and finding outliers, finding abnormalities. It will be able to do it. And general applications of AI, some of which I have already been telling you. We will see all of these things. Generative AI, like what I told you, is ChatGPT. Many of us have started using it. Natural language processing is what we now have with ChatGPT also, as well as with Alexa, Siri, and such voice assistants. Neuralink is Elon Musk's um, embedding of chip in somebody's brain. They have already achieved it. Very recently, I saw in the newspapers that they have been able to embed a chip in the brain of a quadriplegic person. He is unable to use any of his limbs. He is not able to use his hands nor his legs. But after the chip has been inserted, he gave an interview saying that I'm able to move the mouse pointer in the system just by staring at the screen. That is just one instance of how he is able to do it. This particular processor takes the brain impulses and connects it with the internet and then sends data, and the artificial intelligence tries to process the data from the brain impulses in a manner in which uh, our body itself understands. So that is what they are going to achieve, trying to achieve. And there are various health monitoring things and recommendations that have come inside skin. Now they are inserting some device for monitoring blood sugar levels. Then they are embedding chips inside the heart for monitoring the various health related things. So these things are already happening. They are already happening. And autonomous controls in manufacturing, they are already in place. As far as the operational things are there, many companies have started embedding AI in their machines, or AI-enabled processes. They have already started. Self-driven cars have now been in place for some time, even though it is not mass-produced as of now on a large scale. They may very well be the thing of the future, just like how electric cars have become the mainstay in European markets. Soon, self-driven cars will also be the next biggest thing. Self-driven cars use AI for almost everything there. Advanced chatbots we are seeing now, when we are using, let's say, a telecom operators chatbot, or most websites have now started using advanced chatbots because it is easy for them to link it with OpenAI's ChatGPT. They are using the same platform. It's an open source software, so they are able to integrate both these things, and they are offering the advanced chatbot facilities where we need not click at things, where we can use our natural language for asking things. What happened to my payment last time? I did not receive a confirmation. Something like that we'll be able to ask. And user recommendations that we are seeing in the various shopping websites, how they are summarizing the user reviews and giving. And also when we look at YouTube, for example, it throws the next video for our viewing based on what videos we have watched in the past. Same thing with Instagram, Facebook. The ads that they generate and show before us are based on AI's recommendations. And data analysis and pattern identification. This is used by in combination with big data analytics and various data processing models. It identifies the data from the various data sources. It could be Facebook's backend data, it could be a bank's backend data, it could be an insurance company's backend data. They could be getting information from various other social media also, we don't know. And they may integrate everything and they will be able to draw results from it. Predictive analysis, governance tools. Predictive analysis is based on the data analysis. Governance tools, especially for fraud detection and risk management. One of the most important functions of corporate governance is risk management um, and fraud detection. So for that, AI will help a lot. And because of all the things which we discussed. And regulatory use, many regulators have started using this. Shekhar sir will be covering this in his presentation also. And now we proceed to the risks of AI, many of which I have already been telling. Now you may be wondering, what is this particular image? Have we come to such an Armageddon and have AI started overpowering humans? No, but I don't know why, but ChatGPT seems to think so. I asked it. Whenever we want to generate some image, we have to give as much detailed instructions as possible. But this time I just gave a single one-line instruction. I asked it to generate an image depicting the risks of AI. I don't know why, but it generated this particular image. Probably it knows that it is getting ready for an Armageddon. I don't know, but it could be because that it perceives human understanding of AI. It shows us our fears. It made this image based on human beings' interpretation of what risks AI could bring, or what results would we get if we let AI develop beyond a particular point. So we can see for ourselves what are the risks of AI. But as of now, we have not gone to such an extent that this thing is happening now or any time in the future. But Elon Musk does warn us about these things. But as of now, we are not there yet. We are not having a worldwide AI which links with everything, which links with our phone and everything. Like, for example, what happened in that Indian 2 movie, we are not at all there yet, and governments should not and will not let that happen. But now coming to hallucinations, like I said, we don't know sometimes what results will be thrown. Hallucinations are very, very apparent. For example, let me say I want to understand about some particular concept in a particular law. I will tell you about the things which I did and the results which came. I wanted to understand about operation and mismanagement, which is a small concept in company law where the minority shareholders would be able to complain against the majority shareholders before the NCLT and ask for several directions to be passed. One of the important cases there is the Cyrus Mistry versus Tata Sons case, which happened, started somewhere around 2016-17. So I wanted to ask it, are there any other famous cases for day-to-day cases are there, but I wanted to ask it, are there any famous cases for operational mismanagement, or let us say I'm asking it something else like class action suits. And it said, it gave 2-3 examples, but then I searched for it in the Google and saw whether I'm able to take out the judgment or something like that. Such a case did not exist at all. Such a case did not exist at all. And I asked it, did you make this up? This is not there. I'm unable to find the case law anywhere. Did you make this up? And it said, yes, I made it up. So, but it does not give a warning that this is a made up case. We have to verify it. So hallucinations like that are possible. And hallucinations are also possible. I showed you here in this particular image, there are some images which don't make sense at all. I don't even know what this is. It looks like something, but it is not something. There are several images that don't make any sense. So just to give the impression, it's like an impressionist painting, where just to give the impression, it's not an actual thing. So it could hallucinate like that. So at least generative AI, I know, hallucinates like that, and it is okay in generative AI because we will be able to anyway verify whether it is a hallucinated product or it's an actual product somehow or the other. But when it happens at the back end, if such hallucinations happen at the back end, then it would be a huge problem. So we have to be prepared for that. Then non-explainability, the same thing which I said, unpredictability, random walks it is, inability to explain the user the results of processing, absence of direct link between the source code and the results it generates. Because even for ChatGPT, the reason is because it does a lot of self-learning and it adds a lot of layers of abstractions. And for the same thing, if we ask it again and again and again and again, at one point of time, sometimes it gets confused also. There are several other times where how many ever times we ask it something saying that it is wrong, it will stand its ground and say that I'm right. Sometimes that is correct also. So as of now, it is somewhat unpredictable. Largely, like 80% of the things is right. Remaining 20% is where we have to be very careful. And there are growing dependence on artificial intelligence. This is a problem which I personally foresee, because the more we use AI for our day-to-day tasks, I have a growing concern personally whether it will lead to more of natural stupidity. Artificial intelligence shouldn't lead to a situation where we are seeing natural stupidity, right? So they use this term in several research quarters. So they use this term to refer to the human bias, the inability to process large volumes of data, where we have incorrect understanding of things or we don't know things. So, or we have the basic laziness to not go through various volumes of data and understand things. So that could be what to say, a thing that eases us most of technology is making us lazy also on the one hand, although things have become very efficient. On the other hand, we sort of hesitate to do things manually. But when thought process becomes delegated, that could lead to unintended consequences, where we as a generation, if we lose the ability to think, if we are delegating everything to AI, what will happen to human intelligence? If I keep on, let us say I used to have the ability, I would like to believe that I still have the ability to go through things in a line by line manner, make sense, and then do things. I still do it though, but I have the apprehension that if I keep doing the task, delegating it to AI, whether I lose the ability to think. So we should be very conscious on how we use AI. We should be very conscious that we use AI only as an assistant and not as a substitute for our efforts or thinking. So human judgment and especially gut feeling can never be replaced by anything. I don't think even sentient AI beings would be able to have the thing called gut feeling. So that is something which is very unique to human beings, and that um, should be allowed to operate as intended by nature. So we should never, we can use AI as intelligent assistance, but we can and should never delegate our thought processes and our judgment and our professional skepticism or our gut feeling to AI. We should not blindly follow the decisions thrown by AI. And intellectual property violations can happen intentionally or unintentionally. There are people who have started using ChatGPT for generating movie scripts based on somebody else's writing in the style of somebody else. So things like this are happening a lot in the US also. So they have formed an association of the Association of Script Writers have asked for people not to share their scripts if somebody is going to feed it into the systems, but that is, I don't think that is in their hand. Information is everywhere. People are using everything in different ways, and there is a threat to data privacy also. Even with ChatGPT, there have been reports of leakage of information, and further, we have also seen, let us leave alone ChatGPT, we have seen how the voices of celebrities are being modified and altered and used, and they sound very natural, and they sound very natural. We can go to Instagram and see several videos that are floating around like that, and videos, masked videos. With the AI, they are becoming more realistic, and this is a threat to somebody's privacy and self-respect. So these things we do have to be extremely careful about, not just on how we use AI, but on how we use AI generated content. Sometimes we may not even know that it's an AI generated content. That is where we have to be very careful. We may not know that some video which is floating around is generated by AI. We may believe that that is the truth. So we have to always take things with a pinch of salt now. Now that all these videos and audios are floating around, we can never trust. Some things are done in an authentic manner after asking the permission of the celebrity or person. We may have even seen an interview of Sashi Tharoor. Mr. Sashi Tharoor spoke with an AI version of himself. That video was extremely good. It was inspiring, informative, and it was something like a food for thought. That was authentic, done with the permission of the original person himself. But other things like false news being spread, false rumors being spread, we don't know whether it is an AI generated content or not. We have to be watchful of things. We cannot see and just believe things. No, there is a saying in Tamil, um, those viewers who know Tamil maybe can understand. Kannal kanbadum poi kathal ketpadum poi theera visaripade mai. That is, the things which we see through our eyes could be wrong. The things that we hear through our ears could be wrong. And we have to do a deep dive and understand things that could probably give us the truth. So we have to be always careful.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry for disturb you, ma'am. Your voice is not clear.
Since when, sir?
In 10 to 15 minutes, your voice is cracking.
There is not much I'm able to do. Could be to the net. I'm having.
Is there is any network issue?
No, sir. I'm not finding any network issue. It is with full strength.
Can you remove headphone and take the session?
If I remove headphones, then the mic in the system is not working. So
Okay.
I'll take in a probably a slower manner so that the audio comes through.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. So there is we have to be very careful with not just using AI in our accounting or other domain, even in our personal life. When we are consuming content generated online, we have to be very careful whether it is AI generated content or whether it is true, or we have to take it with a pinch of salt. So that is my point here. Now we come to the specific uses and risks of usage of ChatGPT and Copilot. This I have included because these tools most of us have started using. Is my audio better now, sir?
It is better. It is better.
Sorry, sir.
It is better, but still there are some cracks in the middle. But it is better than what it was before.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now we come to specific uses and risks of usage of ChatGPT and Copilot. We can use ChatGPT to do so many things which I have listed here. Can be used to generate content for understanding or internal purposes. Like you want to understand something, tell me more about activity-based costing, for example, it will throw us some data. And it can write codes, it can give Excel formulae, it can do give step-by-step instructions for everything. It can generate checklists, it can generate FAQs, for example. It can generate SOPs, it can generate quizzes, it can generate tough exam type questions. But like I said, let us say frame some questions. And let us say we are asking it to frame some MCQs, for example. It may not always give the right answer, or sometimes the options themselves may not make sense sometimes. So we have to be very, very careful when we are using the results thrown by even ChatGPT. It can be used for making calculations or analysis from the data given. Now I'll show you one thing. I'm doing it live. I have taken some financial results from money control and I have fed it here. I just copied, pasted. You can see how raw the data is. You can see it, sir, the ChatGPT window.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so I have just pasted it here, and I'm asking it, can you organize this into a table? In the previous things, it has worked for me. Now let us see, it's a generative AI. Nobody can say for sure. So I'm asking this, can you organize this into a table? Let us see what it does and how fast it does. Even before I scroll down, it has done. So whatever was there in the money control website, now it is coming here. Just copy paste from wherever we want. It can just copy paste data. This is just to show that even if we give the data in such an messy format, it will be able to make sense of it. Now I'm going to ask it to, can you make some analysis, draw some analysis based on the figures given above. Talk about or do some ratio analysis. Just a very general question. Do some ratio analysis. Please note, it is not the latest version of ChatGPT. It is the 3.5 free version. Paid version comes with at $20 per month plus GST. So it is around 2,300, something like that. That is even more capable. It is really much more capable. So it is doing some calculation. We can ask it to do everything. Make a comparison of raw material usage from the above figures. If it had been GPT-4, it would have thrown some percentages and everything. And when we use Copilot, ChatGPT 3.5 is not linked to the net. But when I used Copilot just a while before, it took data from money control. These are quarterly figures. It took data from money control for the full year figures and made a comparison for the last 5 years also. So anything, whatever we want to do, whatever we want to ask, we can ask it. For example, let us imagine I want to ask it another question. Can you help explain? Can you help me understand what is activity-based question? It will say certainly. So it gives some explanation. Let us say I want to understand the point number 3 better. Can you elaborate on point number 3? So look at the speed with which it is generating content. So like this, we can ask it so many things. And let us say, give me a basic checklist for inventory management. I know it is very general, but let us just, for the sake of the paucity of time, give me a general check. Give me a checklist for inventory management. A very general one, but let us see what it does. So it gives something. We can ask it to elaborate on each point also. It will be able to do. Just wanted to say it can be used for various purposes. That is why I showed you those things. And sometimes it comes with carefully crafted disclaimers also. For example, let us say I want to understand what is related party transactions. Can you help me understand the concept of arm's length basis under section 188 of the Companies Act 2013 in the context of related party transactions, for example. It says so and so, so and so. Then comply with all the relevant regulations. Most of the time, it also throws up. Sorry. Most of the times, it also throws up some warning. This time it didn't come, but many times it comes. It gives a warning saying that better to consult with a professional. That warning comes. So disclaimers will often be there when it comes to this, and extremely capable. It is very empathetic and respectful in conversations. We can discuss about anything under the sun. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry. And whatever is, like I have already said, most of these things I have already told. Hallucinations are possible. Incorrectly detailed images are possible. Plagiarism is possible. because AI can take content from other places. Recently, New York Times has sued ChatGPT as well as Bing for using its content. So we don't know where that suit will end up. We don't know who will end up paying whom, whether it will be established as violation of intellectual property rights. We don't yet know. And reports of leaks of sensitive data being fed into ChatGPT, once or twice these reports came. And we should be very careful to understand that ChatGPT operates on, see, this is exclusive to ChatGPT. What I'm saying, this particular point. Though it has a browser tool, its responses are based on the knowledge it was fed up to April 2023. Now we come to specific applications of artificial intelligence in financial accounting. By now, we must be able to guess what the capabilities of AI in financial accounting are. When we feed in data from various sources, for example, we feed in invoice details, it will be able to do, or just by scanning the invoice, it will be able to do automated data entry, or it can access things from the previously set things, and it will be able to generate um, smart invoice processing, classifying things correctly, identifying the tax implications, both TDS and GST. So these things it will be able to do, provided the data set which was fit into AI was correct. And automated reconciliation. This is a very useful area when it comes to AI's applications, because vendor customer reconciliations, bank reconciliations to some extent, some softwares are automatically able to take care, but still we rely on human interference. Vendor customer reconciliation, when the transactions run into thousands of rows, for example, with a single vendor or customer for a month, or let's say for a quarter, and we want to do reconciliation, and we get their version of things, their statement of account, and when we compare and do, a lot of manual intervention is usually there, but with AI it will be able to spot what are the differences by just looking at the data. And then human interference is still needed to verify whether AI did its job correctly, but the groundwork it can lay. It can definitely lay the groundwork. And identifying missing data, and wherever authorized, it can get data from external sources also. And tax preparation and filing also, it can be enabled with AI. Already it has been enabled in several softwares, but most of us don't use the tax preparation module, which is automated and given even with the SAP. Many of us don't use the tax preparation as it is generated. Even for financial statements, we don't use the P&L or balance sheet, which even SAP generates. We still rely on Excel. I think that will continue even with AI, but AI could help ensure that by throwing alerts, by throwing the inconsistencies, it can help us manage the taxes also better. Accounts payable and receivable, it can manage invoice payments, look at the cash bank balances, and help optimize the cash flows also. It won't just think about the balance available, it can help us prevent us from getting into section 138 cases, check bounce cases, or it can help us manage our cash flows better. It can identify the idle days where cash is not being used, and it can help us manage day-to-day expense, day-to-day cash flow management better. Customer or investor service in relation to accounts. For example, let's say an investor wants to know whether his um, um, let us say he has some doubts in the accounts. He will be able to ask if a chatbot is being enabled for that, or customer would be able to ask, I have received this particular payment, tell me what invoices it pertains to. It will be able to throw the results if AI is used for those things. And of course, financial forecasting and analysis is the primary area where AI will be used, because it is able to consume, digest large volumes of data, and forecast, extrapolate things into the future, and help us understand the results. Now we come to specific applications in cost and management accounting. in cost data management, we can take large volumes of data, even unstructured data also. When it is combined with big data, it can take unstructured data also. For example, let's say we are scanning something and we are scanning some invoice or a physical paper which contains data. I can consume data from that also. For example, let us say we don't usually input the, when we are accounting for, let us say, the electricity consumption, and let us say we don't usually input the number of units consumed. Let us say we have a facility where we can scan the electricity bill, that particular card, and it automatically reads the data, and it makes sense of the data, and then it records that also. That will be a great use for us, and especially with ESG, complaints with ESG, that could help a lot. As Shekhar sir would agree, many companies are reluctant or have not yet started capturing several data. And AI could come in and do a great thing there if it is properly put to use. And prescriptive guidance at critical decision points. Hey, your stock is low in this particular, in respect of this particular component, the stock at present is low, it is time to reorder. So things like that it can throw. Inventory control models can be greatly enhanced with ERP and RFID, and it will be very, very useful for cost accountants, and helps in pricing decisions. Especially we can see this being used, the dynamic pricing models of airlines. How many people, the pricing of airlines these days is very, very dynamic. So it helps in all those things also, because it is able to predict, do a reasonably good prediction of how the air traffic will be, how many people will come on which day, at what point of time, to which destinations. All these things it will be able to predict and give us a reasonably good pricing decision. Helps in break-even analysis, because it is able to work not just with linear models, it can account for semi-variable costs also, because traditional models deal with uh, straight models. That is where we are looking at simple functions of cost and the volume. But it could also take into account various other variables which could impact cost behavior and help us better plan our volume and the pricing decisions. And it can take into account convexity also, the convexity of cost um, with respect to volume, because things are not always linear. The function need not always be linear, although in a traditional sector we are used to using traditional, that is a linear function for predicting cost behavior. Here it will be somewhat more realistic, because it is able to deal with various other variables also, and it is able to deal with curvilinear models also. And optimization of costs and maximization of profits is the end result of all these things. And very often we are seeing that most organizations um, are cost driven, like very cost conscious, because that is how they can survive in the markets in most of the industries. So what happens is, when we get the feedback from the accounting or management accounting department, that let us say, for example, there are too many leakages or wastages we observe in the raw material usage, then the data not just talks with the costing or management department, it is taken at the back end and it goes to the production department, then to the design department also, and suitable changes are made to the product design to prevent wastage or leakages. So it has an overall impact on the wellness, financial and operative wellness of an industry. So here is where the data which is given by us and the interpretations that we are giving to the management will have a very big impact in the organization's success, and thereby CMS could also play a great role here. And now we come to applications of AI in auditing. As we have seen so far, it could lead to automation of various things. We feed in the data regarding a company, it looks at the things and throws them probable um, red flags. And right from the client evaluation, whether we should accept the client or not, what is the integrity level of the client, and then acceptance of the engagement, audit planning, internal control and risk assessments. Once we step into an audit environment, we should look at the internal controls, assessing the internal controls, gathering of evidence, evaluation of evidence for their sufficiency and appropriateness, and forming of opinion, drafting of reports. In all these stages, AI tools can come in handy, and of course with fraud detection, because it can identify red flags. But we cannot, especially when it comes to evaluation of evidence and forming of opinion, we shouldn't just rely on what the AI throws. We can use it as a friend, but we should make our own judgments. And so this is using AI in auditing. The next what we are going to see is auditing in an AI-driven environment. Suppose, let us say the company you are going to use this AI, and you as a cost auditor are doing the cost audit. So firstly, we have to check how much trustable is the trust factor of the AI thing. So here, explainability becomes a very important question. So when we are assessing the adequacy and effectiveness of internal controls, we have to focus on the program logic, and we should use various test cases to check things, and audit trail should be established. So audit trail should be established, like we should be careful that there are no imaginary entries, or there are no incorrect, grossly incorrect entries which are happening. And we should use test cases. We should use test cases to see how the inputs that we give. And we should prepare a test case set also for seeing how the AI is processing the test cases, and it is understanding and giving out how it has processed it. So with those test cases, we'll be able to understand whether the AI-driven environment is we can trust it or not. Whether the internal controls are in place and are effective, we should make an evaluation first and then go about things. And AI can never be a substitute for the exercise of professional judgment and skepticism by the auditor, not just legally, but actually. So not just going by the code of ethics, but actually speaking, we cannot delegate to that extent the capabilities of an AI. We should not overrate. So we should always be careful. And these are several softwares which are available. Just browse through the net and give you these. SAP AI is also there. SAP AI is also there. KPMG Clara is an auditing software. So various tools are already available, and ChatGPT by and of itself is becoming a huge revolution in the area. So with all these things, I want to conclude saying that AI is here to stay. There is no doubt about it. There is no two thoughts about it. There is no ambiguity. AI is here to stay, and we have to learn to not just be with AI or coexist with AI. We have to learn to leverage AI also for our day-to-day tasks and for giving actual value addition, because the routine tasks will go away. The routine tasks will be automated using AI in a better manner. So we have to be, we have to see how, where we are able to add value by using AI. And people who are using AI, they will be there forever. So AI will not replace cost accountants or any professional for that matter, but it may replace those who do not know how to use AI. And this is the point where we should all have an agreement that it can never replace human judgment and intuition. And if we remember that, the way we look at organizations, the way we understand businesses, hereafter it has to be more of a tactical and strategic rather than from an operational point of view. It has to be from a strategic point of view, so that we look at the things in a at the bigger picture, and we are able to add value in a really tangible manner. So by using AI, of course, as our assistant, it can help with many things. It can help with drafting even if you are not going to use ChatGPT, for example, for data analysis like this, it is still in the nascent stages. We can still use it for generating, for example, we want to draft a letter, we want to draft a report. It is still very useful, very, very useful. And we can even ask it to draft it in a manner that, let us say, cost auditor addresses to the board or something like that. It will be able to draft in a very nice manner. But we always have to think, look at AI with a pinch of salt. Not everything AI generated is free from errors or bias. So we have to be always conscious of that. And when we think of exercising professional skepticism as an auditor, we should always be careful that whether if it's an AI environment, the things could go wrong. So we have to be open to that possibility always and exercise professional skepticism. And lastly, I want to reiterate that AI can never replace human judgment and intuition. And with that, I'd like to close my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and I enjoyed this particular session. And over to you, Shekhar sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha, for elaborate presentation on AI and the basic part of the AI and also the accounting and auditing, how it can be a game changer. In fact, particular interest will be for the CMA professionals here. Being myself a
Sir, please turn on your video.
I have turned on my video. It's there. My video is there. You can see it, right? I'll share my screen. I'll share my screen. So there will be a presentation. Enter. Now you are able to see?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Entire screen I'm sharing. I have sent the PPT to you, sir. If you could display it.
Deepa ma'am.
I am not.
Hello, Deepa ma'am.
Hello, sir.
Ma'am, can you share PPT?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you can share the PPT, I can still.
Sir, I think your camera is off.
No, camera is on. Now it is off. Now I have turned it off and I have turned it on. Because now it is
No,
on.
sir, you are not visible. You are not visible, sir.
Not visible. Okay. But my how to, because I think some rights have to be given or something. I'm not. Video.
Or I can share the PPT, sir, from here.
You allow Usha to share the PPT. So I think you are able to hear my voice clearly, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So Usha, you can just share my PPT.
Yes, sir.
Go to the first. I'll do a slideshow, no?
Yes, sir. One second. Are you able to see the full screen?
Yes, I'm able to see. I'm able to see the screen. Are the participants able to see?
Yes, sir, but not seeing full screen.
Not seeing full screen.
One second.
Yes, yes. Yes.
And even in this, you can do. If you do,
yes, sir, this is better.
It is not done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
we can do like this.
we can go like this, right? So what I was saying is I was just wanted to add a few points from Usha's presentation. A particular role for CMA would be a much bigger role is it's already there because of the there are narrow AIs which are specific functions which are already in use, but a big area for CMA, according to me, would be on budgeting. And budgeting is an area where you could be more close to what the results could come going forward. So, and because what happens is there is scope for standardization considering the capability of the AI tools to process voluminous data. So consider an engineering company having many parts, raw material parts or many finished products, bill of material, etc. So it's a very huge opportunity for CMA professionals to start using AI tools, but use them judiciously, which is what Usha was highlighting. Now I'll get to the regulatory framework, which is the topic which I am supposed to take up. So what are the regulatory and governance concerns? You see, the presentation by Usha highlighted a lot of concerns of the regulator. So that is what we will be discussing now. Usha, can you go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
See, explainability is a very important concept in the AI. Now, what we know is a black box approach and a white box approach. A white box approach is one where you know from input stage to output stage what is that which is happening. So we are all comfortable with a white box stage. But in a black box stage, what happens is that you don't know what is happening inside the black box. So the correlation between the input and the output and the process which are going through, we are not able to verify as a human being. So that is a concern of regulator. So that's why what regulator is interested in is an explainable AI. Explainable AI is what it's a set of process and methods that allows human being to comprehend and trust the results and output created by machine learning algorithm. So that is what is important here from a regulatory perspective, and this helps to promote end user trust, model auditability, and productive use of AI. So what happens is an explainable AI will help characterize model accuracy, fairness, transparency, and outcomes in AI-powered decision making. So that is very crucial for building trust. Now, if the whole calculation process is like a black box, then you are not able to interpret, and the incapacity to interpret comes in the way of explainability. And if it is explainable, it also mitigates compliance, legal, security, and reputational risks, which are inherent otherwise of production AI. And also, the can you go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
What are the ethical concerns of the regulator in AI? The ethical dilemma and compliance concerns in AI, if you see, sensitive data has to be protected. So how can companies protect sensitive data? And if sensitive data is misused, it can create problems. So that is one of the most important concerns. Then Usha referred to violation of IPR, intellectual property rights. So how do we ensure that AI is used in a manner that there is no copyright violation? And with respect to copyright, what happens is that it not only has the power to access the work of other content authors, and also has the capability to produce valuable original content in exactly the same style as the other famous authors. So this is something which even a narrow AI earlier had. If you must have played this Cricket 97, in that Richie Benaud's voice, Richie Bena's image and voice was copied rather, and they could create the effect in this thing. And when you play the game, you could get Richie Bena's commentary. So that when it can happen in a narrow AI, in a generative AI, the scope is much more. So this is a very serious concern which is there in AI, generative AI in particular. So that is something which has to be addressed, and there should be safeguards to protect the copyrights. Then what happens is, if you see AI generate any AI, there is always a human element involved in terms of the, whatever you call it, the programs or the algorithms. Algorithms are nothing but a series of programs in a generative AI. So that bias in the algorithm can lead to wrong results. So that is again another concern or which needs to be addressed. So the focus of the regulator is on four aspects. That is ensuring secrecy with respect to sensitive information. So it is necessary to protect the secrecy and confidentiality of the data. Respecting and protecting privacy. This is something where a lot of privacy breach is capable through AI, and it's necessary to respect and protect privacy. Transparency and accountability is very important. That is to be ensured. And how you remove the impact of bias. So that is what is the concerns of the regulator when it comes to AI. Now, can go to the next one. Usha, next one.
Yes, sir. I have moved the slide.
So why should AI be regulated? Now, this is one question actually. We have seen the concern. AI systems can create or can create. They create or they can create risks that must be addressed to avoid undesirable outcomes. So now if you see that a particular video you see where it says that somebody has some song is played or somebody's speech is played, speech is shown in a YouTube video. Are you sure that it is this person has spoken? Not very sure. In fact, you could take a picture with Sachin Tendulkar. Picture is a very narrow thing, but when generative AI tools are there, you could even show me playing cricket. But if you ask me, I cannot even lift a bat. So that is the extent to which undesirable outcomes can occur. And existing regulatory framework, whatever we have today, they address some of the concerns, but not all. And it is definitely insufficient to address the specific challenges that AI systems may bring or has got potential to bring. So that is there is a distinct need to regulate the AI systems. Next. Usha,
Yes, sir.
so now how have the regulators approached? Now different countries have approached the problem in different ways, but by and large we have seen the movement from 2019 to 2023. We have seen every country trying to follow a particular methodology. So three largest economies we are seeing. US is following a market-driven approach. China, of course, it's a state-driven approach. EU is pursuing a rights-driven approach. So but what has India done? Partially address the problem. Data Protection Act 2023 is in place, but we don't have the rules so far. And regulatory framework for AI is in a discussion stage. In fact, today, if you see in Times of India, our Prime Minister has expressed concerns on the deep fakes being created, and though being bullish on AI, the concern on deep fakes is expressed, and I will be covering about the deep fakes. China's model has actually addressed the deep fakes issue very much. Can you go to the next one, Usha?
Yes, sir.
Now, what has US done? Sector-specific decentralized approach, at the state level or even at the central level, but it is sector-specific. Like telecom sector, there may be some regulations. There may be some regulations for automobile sector. There may be something for the IT sector, like that. Now, National Institute of Standard and Technology, they are working on a risk management framework, and White House Office of Science and Technology has issued principles of development and governance of AI, and also issued a blueprint for some kind of AI bill on rights. Now, these are the two frameworks, but in 2023, the National Conference of State Legislatures have proposed AI 2023 as a legislation. Now, US is well, they are more keen that the development of AI, etc., is encouraged. So they have kept GPT-4 as a standard. So they are saying that any training of the AI systems which are more powerful than GPT-4, there has to be a moratorium. So they are not referring to moratorium on other less powerful AI systems, because GPT-4 is already there. So something which is less powerful, they don't intend to regulate. So now, how to evaluate whether this is more powerful or less powerful? That is the challenge for them. Can you go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
UK, what they have done, again, existing laws and sector-specific guidelines to manage AI's impact. That, of course, is there in the UK as well. And the regulations are focusing on developing to ensure AI safety and ethical standards. What UK generally follows a principle-based approach as opposed to rule-based approach. So what they have done is they have created a Center for Data Ethics and Innovation called CDAI to advise on AI governance. And as recent as 6 February 2024, they changed the name to Responsible Technology Adoption Unit called RTA. Now, when we use symbols, there is always a danger, because when you say RTA in India, it refers to registrar and transfer agent. So we have to be careful when we use these acronyms. So the RTA, when we speak about it now, we are calling it Responsible Technology Adoption Unit in the UK. What is their role? Will be to champion responsible innovation both in public and private sector, and develop tools that give organizations confidence that AI and data-driven tech work the way they expect. So RTA is going to play a major role in the UK. Let's see what they are going to do with their regulatory response. Next one. Canada is actually among the first ones to come out with a law on AI. IDA, the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, September 2023, but it is a voluntary code for advanced generative AI system. And mainly the focus is on improving accountability, and they have introduced requirements to ensure safety and fairness of high impact system. Under IDA, actually, businesses will be held responsible for the AI activities under their control. So they have kept the responsibility on the businesses that are there. And ideally, the intention is that the users should be given maximum enough information to take informed decisions. And their requirements address at all the three stages of the high impact AI system. So the concentration is on high impact AI systems, and they have to they address in all the three stages, that is design, development, and deployment. But the idea is to have a flexible policy, but safety obligations are to be tailored to the type of AI systems. The more risks are associated with AI system, the more obligations will be there. Next one. Yes, this is quite interesting. In fact, China, again, 2023, most of the countries have done some regulation on AI. But by and large, they deal with data privacy, IPR, etc. And China also wants to address on misinformation through AI too. And so the focus is on develop ethical AI development with regulations to control high-risk AI applications and promote data security. Now, what are the, it's based on 5 principles. And China is a socialist economy, so it adherence to socialist values, protection of national security, non-discrimination, watermarking AI content, we will discuss about it now, and protection of people's security. Now, what is this watermark, AI watermarking about? That's quite an interesting concept. And basically, it is a process of embedding a recognizable unique signal as the output of an artificial intelligence model, which may be a text or an image, to identify the content as being generated, as being AI generated. So that signal is called as a watermark. So you can see how AI watermark is going to be very useful. Because if the AI which is developed does not have an AI watermark, then it is regarded as non-genuine. And regulators will catch hold of that. But if this AI watermark will not be visible to the naked eye. But if a software or algorithm specialized is used, then it can be detected. So this watermarking is prescribed in Chinese regulations, which could possibly find a way in India as well, whenever they try to make the regulation with respect to AI. Actually, what the need to do watermarking was felt, because in the wake of consumer-facing text and image generator, so you could create believable content using AI. In fact, in March 23, for instance, the image of the Pope wearing a white puffer jacket was used, and it went on social media viral. Many people believe this to be true. So though that example is now history, the ability to widely disseminate high quality content produced by generative AI raises broader concerns. So that is where the need for watermarking is felt. But what is the technology available for watermarking? I have not much idea. But I think generative AI, possibly watermarking, is the way forward. Can you take to the next one?
Yes.
Perhaps the most widest regulatory response has come with respect to EU. As far as EU is concerned, they had GDPR proposed in 2016, General Data Protection Rules, since 2016, and it is in force since 2018. And EU, as you know, EU is not one single country. So you have member nations. So first is there is something called the EU Parliament. The EU Parliament first passes the rules or the law, and then they give an implementation schedule. That implementation schedule is then taken up in the member countries, and within the time frame, they pass the law in the respective countries, and then they also give some time for the law to take place. So there is a stage-wise approach for them, but it is very clear where they are heading. So now this EU's GDPR, what they do is they enforce data privacy and system transparency on data usage, and it provides for content-based environment for data usage. So this is a distinct feature of EU's GDPR. 2023 is a comprehensive AI Act, first of its kind globally. And what happens is it addresses risks associated. See, a risk approach is adopted by EU framework, so that's what makes it more interesting. And to promote trust and innovation. Framework categorizes AI systems according to their the risk level. And there are 3 risk levels. And which are again categorized into risk categories, which are categorized into 4 risk levels. So what are these 3 risk categories? The first is the unacceptable risk, such as government's front social scoring of the type used in China, or that of those techniques that operate beyond a person's consciousness, they are banned. Second, high-risk applications such as a 3D scanning tool that no, you have to go back now. And lastly, application not explicitly banned or listed as high risk are largely left unregulated. So now you go to the next one. So these 3 risk levels are categorized into 4. Now that diagram you can show.
Yes, sir.
So unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, minimal risk. So the AI is classified into these levels. And what is considered as a clear threat to safety, livelihood, and rights of people will be banned. From social scoring by government to toys using voice assistants that encourages dangerous behavior. So this is what it happens. And go to the next slide.
This one, sir.
Next one. Achha, so what the AI rules are, that is important. What do the AI rules do? They will address risks specifically created by AI applications and prohibit AI practices that pose unacceptable. So once the risks are regarded as unacceptable, then the AI practices will be prohibited. Determine list of high risk applications, set clear requirements for AI system for high risk. So how it is going to be dealt with. And there is a particular process which is to be followed. Specific obligations, deployers and providers of high-risk AI applications. Once they discharge all their application and conformity assessment is done, it is put into the market after the enforcement is put in place. So the governance structure is will be prepared for the European level and also at the national level. So very detailed set of regulations, and India might possibly take up, I think, EU with, because the rules are yet to come. So India might take up with a combination of China and EU. This is what is my feeling, but let's see how we progress. Can you go to the next one now? Next slide. 14, next one, next.
This one, sir.
Yes, yes. So now how this EU rule, the EU rules work in practice. Next. This we have done, Usha. 14.
Yes, sir.
Now there are here 4 steps here, which is what we have shown here. Once an AI system is on the market, authorities are in charge of market surveillance. Deployers ensure human oversight and monitoring, and providers have a post-market monitoring system in place. And serious incidents are also reported. So there are stepwise. I think this voice is cracking because of the connection rather than. And I have a Wi-Fi connection, so I'm not very clear as to why it is happening. So conformity assessment and standalone registration in the database. There is a particular process which has to be followed, so which I have shown as to how it will work. Next one.
Yes, sir.
Next. So how the process adopted, they have shown. European Parliament and Council of EU reached political agreement on the AI text. So it is still going on. AI Act will come into force 20 days after its publication in the official journal and will be applicable after 2 years later with some exceptions. Prohibitions will take effect after 6 months and governance rules applicable after 12 months. So this slide will be shared with everybody. I will skip this. So this is just a way how Europe is going to implement. So it's a long-run process because member nations have to adopt it. But the act is already in place. And AI Pact is a voluntary initiative that seeks to support future implementation. And AI developers from Europe and beyond, key obligations they will be required to, because you have to plan to comply. So key obligations, if they are aware of, they will be able to comply ahead of time. Next one question.
Yes, sir.
Now, India, there is no regulatory framework yet specifically for AI, except for the law related to personal data protection. And what it is that highlighted the personal data protection, that was in landmark 2017 judgment, Swami and another versus Union of India and others. So, wherein right to privacy as part of fundamental right to life in India and right to informational privacy is part of this right. And personal data protection in Act is in place in 11 but rules regulations are yet to be notified. Now, here also, what happened is a history. We know how much dilly-dallying was there before the Act was finally came. Actually speaking, 2023 Act is the second version of the bill. Because after one circulation for public feedback in 2018, and then a bill was introduced in Parliament in 2019 called Personal Data Protection Bill 2019. Then Parliamentary Committee published a report in 2021, and arising out of that, the government withdrew the bill and introduced a new bill in 2023, which addressed some of the concerns which are there. But there is one concern which is still there, which is that the government has got powers to exempt in certain cases some of the provisions of the Act. So if the situations exist, government has got the power to exempt the application of the Data Protection Act. Can you go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
And what is India's this one? Key features, consent based. So the person whose data is being shared has to give consent. So the environment provides for obtaining consent for handling data. Data fiduciaries, including professionals, need to obtain specific consent of data principal. Data principal is the person whose data is being shared. Okay, so that's what is defined. Data fiduciaries means those who are using AI techniques to share the data or use the data. Mandates compliance with consent management and data minimization. Ensure that the data is used for legitimate purpose. Now, legitimate purpose is defined in the Act. We'll be seeing that. Here, they have to ensure transparency on decision-making logic of AI tools and provision for various obligations of data fraud. Now, penalty is very high, something which you cannot imagine, as high as 250 crores rupees. Non-compliant and using of data without specific consent. The highest level, the data for how much penalty will be levied will depend on case-to-case basis. And failing to put in sufficient safeguards for ensuring data security. But the gravity of the offense is very high if you don't comply with this requirements, obligations under the Data Protection Act. Next one.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the meaning of personal data breach? Means any unauthorized processing of personal data or accidental disclosure, acquisition, sharing, use, alteration, destruction, or loss of access to personal data that compromises confidentiality, integrity, or availability of personal data. So any of this happens, it is called a breach. So the definition of breach is quite wide. Unauthorized processing includes use of AI for deriving results from data that are personal and sensitive in nature. So when you process it without obtaining specific consent and deriving results from data which are personal and sensitive in nature, then it is called unauthorized processing. And unauthorized processing is a personal data breach. Data fiduciary means any person who alone or in conjunction with other persons determines purpose and means of processing of personal data. Since professionals are also included, professionals should be very careful when it comes to handling data. So any professional handling personal data will have to take the necessary care. That's what we have highlighted. Next one.
Yes.
Yes, next. So what are the challenges here? Ensuring ethical use, protecting consumer rights to explainability and privacy, and protecting IPR. Need for a balanced approach that encourages innovation while implementing safeguards against misuse of AI technology. Addressing ongoing dynamics between rapid AI development and regulatory efforts to ensure ethical standards, data protection, and societal benefit. So India's challenge is similar. World over, the same challenges are there. But in India, there are to encourage the startup mechanism, etc., and to ensure a wide reach. See, what happens in India and other advanced nations is that because of the reach in the number of persons who are covered in the data privacy, it's always a challenge because any persons who are not used to AI techniques, etc., they don't understand the importance of data privacy also. And you could see a lot of number of data breaches which are occurring because the consciousness to preserving and protecting the data integrity is missing. So the challenge is going to be there in implementation, but unless these steps are taken, India is going to grow at a very healthy pace, and with growth comes all these threats. So this regulating AI is going to be a necessity, and we are still not ready with the rules, and that is for data privacy also, and also for AI. The act itself needs to be something along the lines of what is there in EU or in China, combination of that. Next one.
Yes.
Now, these are some of the regulatory uses of AI instances. Now, if you see MCA V3, if I'm going to say, make some reference, we will all say that the teaching problems actually is the one which is being talked about. But what it actually was, it was an effort using AI. And now the recent changes, whatever they have done in processing of the e-filing itself, like entire processing of the e-forms that are filed to a centralized system in Noida or Gurgaon, it shows that the ROC then is going to be only tasked with adjudication and administrative functions and not the processing function. The processing function is entirely AI driven. So AI driven means it take a very simple case that suppose your cost audit report is filed late. You could have a show cause notice coming if you default on the due date, and the due date also will be tracked. I mean, that is the extent to which the AI tools can be used, and that is the kind of result which regulator will have. So it is very much necessary to ensure timelines going forward. Immediately, possibly this will not be visible, but from June, July onwards, after the new elected government is in place and the ease of doing business initiatives are implemented, we will find a substantial strengthening in the regulatory mechanism. So it is good as well as bad, both. Because if in the name of ease of doing business, if the ease of living is not implemented, then it is going to be a problem. Now, Security and Exchange Board of India is very active in regulating insider trading and unfair trade practices. A lot of AI tools are used there by them. Income tax, IT return processing, income tax administration, GST, and what is also very important is data sharing between central and state authorities and agencies using AI tools. So these are some of the instances. There are much more. Even sectoral regulators, RBI, insurance authority, insurance regulatory authority, TRA, they are all using AI tools. So regulatory framework is getting strengthened because of AI. So we cannot take any chances. So as professionals, we have to ensure that we advise the corporates, our clients, to be mindful of these developments. Next one, Nusha.
Yes.
Next. So what is India's strategy for AI? June 18, Niti Aayog has released the strategy. Vision and strategic approach for integrating AI into various sectors, emphasizing inclusivity, sustainability, and growth. And AI should be inclusive. It should be for all social good and economic growth, with focus on healthcare, agriculture, education, and smart cities, research and development, collaborative environment between public sector and private sector and academia. This is what is the Niti Aayog's national strategy for AI released by them. And I think we have concluded the presentation. I have given you a list of references, which next one, you can see the references. And I have concluded my presentation on the regulatory framework. There is not much in terms, but we have been able to highlight the challenges which are there. And now I think we can take the questions from the participants. Thank you very much. Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can take up questions.
Questions, who is going to put up?
Sorry, sir.
Who is going to put up the questions? If there are any.
I guess we'll also.
Mr. Kulkarni is.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Kulkarni. We have concluded the presentation.
Yes,
so
sir.
If there are questions, we can take them.
I request to participant, please ask any question.
Sir, I guess one of the participants had earlier asked a question.
In the chat, in the chat, it is there question.
Yes, sir. Someone had asked, can you give an example on cost accounting using ChatGPT? I have to have some data set for that first, but can you please elaborate on your question, sir? Something specific? Mr. Jayesh Desai, sir.
Please use chat box for raising questions.
No, see, using AI example for costing, we have not. It is again, you will use ChatGPT. You know, like if you feed data in ChatGPT, you will get response from ChatGPT. For instance, if you like bill of materials data, if you give standard versus actual, if you input in the ChatGPT, it will give you the variance, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, the potential is tremendous. Huh?
We have to have some data first to see if it works. Without
Exactly.
the data set, yes, sir.
No, we were explaining about dynamic pricing, Usha. I just like to add a little bit on that. Dynamic pricing model, in fact, was existing earlier also using a narrow AI framework, wherein it was the software was used for taking decisions on what pricing should be there, live in your real time. If you see generally airlines booking 21 days before, 14 days before, and 7 days before, there are changes in the ticket prices, whatever, and then there are 4 or 5 classes, when you try to do through ICMAI trip or something. They are using this AI-driven software. And based on demand and supply, which they know that how many tickets are booked. If an aircraft has got 180, Airbus 320 typically, suppose 95 or 100 is booked, then the response is defined. If 50 is booked, then the response is defined. So, but to use all that, the algorithms have to be fed in the dynamic pricing module upfront. So you can see the power, which is, and the airlines like Indigo, in fact, have used this dynamic pricing models like anything. And even Air India and Vistara, for instance, they are quite smart in using it, because if you see Vistara's model, Vistara and Air India, if you book well in advance, the price is almost equal to Indigo. So they are both following opposite policy. Indigo is always at a penetrative stage, but Vistara is following a model that if you book in advance, you get a good fare. But as you come to the 21st day, Vistara is higher than Indigo. Presuming that the demand is for the seats is high. And as you get closer to the seats getting filled up, the prices of Air India and Vistara goes up. So this is one, dynamic pricing model is one this thing, which but for AI would not have been possible. And now it is even more in use. Then you talked about curvilinear break-even analysis. What happens generally in break-even analysis and capacity utilization studies is that we have to make some presumption about fixed and variable costs. So the cost volume profit linear relationship is established in a typical break-even analysis. But practically what we have is a curvilinear, it's not a linear relationship. There are stepped up costs, like when you increase capacity up or volume to a particular level, the fixed cost goes up, and no cost is actually strictly fixed or strictly variable. So the semi-variable cost structure can be ideally entered in an AI-driven environment, and you could project what is the break-even level that you require to achieve or that you are operating in with a revised cost structure, real time. So I see a lot of application for even the short-term decision making using marginal costing. It can be explored using AI. But the skill of the cost accountant cannot be substituted for this. It is up to the cost accountants, professionals to use the AI tools and deliver value to their clients. This is what I would like to say from a CMA perspective. From an audit perspective, of course, the audit trail, etc., is the benefit which is there. So the audit techniques can be modified, and you are in a better position to give reasonable assurance in an audit, as you would, instead of relying on management representation. And management representation supported by AI tools gives you greater confidence. Yes. Any questions other than from any other? Yes, Mr. Tulsi.
Anyone has any question?
Sir, one thing I'd like to add, this chat, may I, sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
This chat GPT and Copilot are free to use. Chat GPT 3.5 is free to use. We just need to create a login and then start using it. Copilot does not even need that. So we can freely experiment with its capabilities. So I urge all of you to kindly take use of the opportunities which are there at present. We don't know when it will be fully priced. So let us use all the resources which are there now to fully explore the capabilities of AI, whatever is available. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am, we are using it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now I request CMA Vatsan sir, please express vote of thanks.
Good evening. This is
Good evening, sir.
Basically, today we had a very wonderful session, and Usha ma'am explained the things of AI and ChatGPT, and like a magician, she showed on the screen also how the ChatGPT, how quickly and better way it can work, especially for the analyzing the various type of data for cost audit and how it can help in doing lot of things for our benefit. And at the same time, Shikhar sir has explained the various aspects of regulatory things in India and most of the important country of the world. And this is the things is required because the world of AI or ChatGPT is like a boundaryless nation. So while we are working on that, we have to look into the various aspects, be careful on that, and same time we have to protect our right also. So all these things has been well explained, and I think it will inspire most of the CMA and especially the younger one to take advantage of this new technique and technology. So with this, I would like to thank Usha ma'am and Shikhar sir for all the efforts. They have made really a marvelous job. I would also like to thank PD committee chairman Kulkarni ji and all the managing committee member of Pimpri Chinchwad Koti chapter, staff of Pimpri Chinchwad Koti chapter for organizing such a wonderful session, especially selecting a good topic and inviting a wonderful faculty. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the members who joined and made this session successful. Thank you very much to everybody and good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we leave?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for giving us an opportunity. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.